Well, hello there, Chick Chat. We're back with another Sister Wives episode. So,
Hi.
buckle in. So, today we are starting right off on the land with Jenelle and Meri. They're going to talk about the property and basically what's been going on with the titles and whose name's on what Kody's endgame is, what's equal, what's fair, what's this, what's that.
Which is nothing. Nothing's been going on. Nothing is fair. And currently, nothing is equal.
None of it. Oh, man. I liked their conversation on the land, I will say. I keep calling it the land, but the Coyote Pass. I think it was great, and I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little bit gypped when at the end they were just kind of like nonchalant. Well, we don't like each other, but we know how to be around each other.
I honestly think that was a low-key dig at Robyn. Did you catch that? Meri's the one that said that. She said, me and Jenelle, we don't really get along, but at the end of the day, we show up to work towards whatever. Robyn and Meri got along. They did seem to kind of genuinely have a liking for each other when they were together, where even in this conversation, it was a great conversation. They were both kind, but you can tell they're not friends. You can tell they're not warm towards each other, really. Like they care about each other's well-being, but they're not warm towards each other. So I kind of felt like it was a little bit of a dig at Robyn. We actually have a friendship that could be established, and yet you never show up. And here's Jenelle that I could honestly care less about, other than I hope, she stays alive and stuff.
They do have a shared history.
That is true, but that's the thing. She will show up. These women show up. They showed up on this land that neither one of them live even close to remotely nearby anymore, just to have this conversation. I like to hear this too. Jenelle has been sort of spearheading this whole we need to equalize everything on the land situation. And at first, last season or at the beginning of the season or whatever, Meri was very resistant to the idea that they would even need to say or do anything in order to get what's equal out of it. So it's nice to see the progression. It's nice. I know that this is obviously a hard time for them, but for them to be able to figure out how to do this together and Meri to get on the same page. It seems like she's even more fired up than Jenelle is right now.
She does seem very angry, especially when she's on land. She's like yelling back and forth. They start talking about the things Kody has said, that he never loved them. And Jenelle, do you believe that? And Meri's, of course I don't believe that. No. Like, she's just so angry.
Which is such good foreshadowing for later on, too.
It really is. Jenelle talks about how it just comes down to the fact that Kody either found his soulmate or something's going on with him, basically, because he's just not admitting to the real facts here.
She said that she dealt with him during the starving years when she was holding her bra together with a diaper clip, which isn't a diaper clip, a safety pin, which I think, again, speaks to the amount of broke that they were because they were probably using cloth diapers because they're cheaper. It's just like the whole thing speaks to how freaking broke they were. She was like, just take your diesel jeans model and get the F out.
That's what he calls her. And it's just crazy. He went through all that with these women. Like she said, from the bottom up when they were living in a trailer with paper-thin walls.
I will admit to you, Chick Chatters, this diesel jeans model phrase lives rent-free in my head. I actually didn't think I had anything that lived rent-free in my head until this came back up again. I think about this phrase more than I would like to admit. I feel like I'm actually in a support group right now admitting to you guys what my problem is. And the reason I think about this is because I can never remember the damn brand. I'm always in my head like, what effing brand did Kody call Robyn model? DKNY? No. No. I think about it all the time.
Tommy Hilfiger? No.
No.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jenelle. You just brought that one back. I thought I finally got rid of it, but at least I know now.
Yep. And then we get this cute scene with Christine.
We always talk about how not necessarily dramatic, but just over embellished Christine is all the time in her reactions and her statements and things like that. And this was just exactly an illustration of that. Aspen just barely walks in the door with a sparkly hairdo, and Christine is just like, oh my God, where did you get that? I love them. What are you doing? What is it?
She's just the best hype man. What are you doing for Valentine's Day other than looking beautiful with this great hair? And then McKelty's having relations.
Little do we know, I bet you she was pregnant in this episode. Spoiler alert, Aspen's pregnant.
Spoiler alert, yeah, she is. Aspen is pregnant, and we found out, I guess, on her local news. Not that she probably didn't share it with her family and maybe her personal Facebooks and whatever she's got going on, but I mean, she's not come out with it on the show or anything like that. This is the first we're really hearing of it, but yeah, I guess she's pregnant.
I mean, it's May. I'm guessing she's probably pregnant in this.
This was before Garrison passed, so I don't think so. He passed in March of last year.
Why did I think we were in March of this year?
Because they're messing with us with this break.
Okay. Yeah.
I do think we are getting close to Garrison just because this is around Valentine's Day and it did happen with him in March. So I do think the time is coming. It's probably not gonna be on this next episode, but either covering in the span of just a couple weeks and like 4 episodes, or
They are.
and they're gonna save that for the end.
And then they're doing 4 sit downs. That's what we're getting.
So I think how this Garrison thing is gonna go is that it's gonna be at the very end of the season, and I think it's just gonna be probably almost just a message.
Yeah.
I don't even think they're gonna.
I'm sure they'll talk more about it in the one-on-ones.
A little, yeah.
Now. But yeah, I don't think he's gonna get an episode like we thought, or maybe they'll do a special later on. I don't know, but yeah, I have heard from that lady that's always on YouTube talking about SisterWives. The Fraser show, that's what it was. She says that there's 4 episodes and 4 downs coming out.
Okay.
For some reason, I was thinking we were in February of this year, but like Christine got married in 2023, so this would be 2024.
But anyways. Going back over.
We start off with the Valentine's Day theme, which the whole episode is kind of the theme of Valentine's Day. And we've heard the Sister Wives talk quite a bit throughout the seasons of how Valentine's Day has been complicated. But here we are at yet another Valentine's Day. So we are not going to shy away from that topic, even though we all know how complicated it is. And we've all left Kody at this point. So here we go to dive back into the complications of Valentine's Day, but sprinkled into it this year is Christine's own Valentine.
In fashion show with her kids watching. I liked the scene with the girls. I like McKelty. I think she's funny. I like her little one-liners. But she says for Christine to wear something a little bit more sexy and stuff. Like, Truly's like, no, absolutely not. And McKelty's like, well, there's the tasteful kind of sexy. And then Truly's just that. And then McKelty's like, you know what? I'm sorry. She's a prairie dress woman.
That's all that can be tolerated. We get a little bit of a fashion show. Christine said she was not necessarily comfortable in the dress, but I think it looks great on her. I think she has a cute little figure for her. And I just love her blonde hair lately. She used to look so drab and sad all the time when she was married to Kody. And now she's just like a lightning ball of energy. Even when you look at her, I mean, her personality has always been like that, but she's cool. She slithered her little belt off in a disgusting way, though. That really was not for me.
Or for her kids. They didn't want to see that either.
Yeah, that's when Truly decided to leave the building. But it was giving lap dance vibes. And we learned in that scene that I guess David goes around and shows people this lap dance video. It reminds me of all those reportings back when Kanye was walking around showing corn to people.
I guess, David, he's in his 60s and he's waited 8 years for this, so.
True.
Just wants to show it off.
11 years.
I guess, yeah. I like how he said that too to her, like, I've waited all this time for you and stuff. And she's like, me too. And I'm like, Christine, you just got out of like a 30-year marriage. What do you mean?
She waited and suffered with Kody because she knew her man wasn't ready yet.
Yes, but you were going to do it forever with him if it wasn't for Robyn coming in. Like, what do you mean?
It's true.
You like waited a year or two maybe to date around, I think a year or so, but what? You're married in 2023 and you left Kody in like 2021.
Yeah, she had a whirlwind with David, that's for sure.
I guess. But David, after his wife passed or whatever, he really didn't date around that. I mean, he dated around, but he didn't really get serious with anybody that much. So
you really think though too, David's kids were younger and he had a lot of them. And so the idea of dating was probably out of the question for a long time. Whereas Christine just has Truly now really to worry about, and the rest of her kids are adults. So I think it's easier to date when that's the situation.
Well, and it's also easier to date when you're coming from a divorce and not a lost spouse, I think.
Right.
Because there's different feelings there sometimes. Like,
true.
Sometimes it's like, ski, I'm going out.
Especially the way that David lost his wife was probably particularly traumatic. So.
Yeah. It's probably harder to move on from, but they found each other and I'm glad for them. But Meri's not so glad about what's going on this property.
She is so mad.
So mad. She is saying that Kody cannot benefit from the things that everybody contributed to.
I'm there with her. I just don't understand why right now you're so mad. I want her to be mad. I just feel like, what has gotten you so riled up? Just Kody's lack of communication, or what is it? Because
you said last episode, I think she's coming out of this fog, I think. So it must just be slowly. You know how Meri processes things. You know how long that breakup took. So now she's getting through the process. Just
I forget we're talking about Meri here. Yeah.
We're talking about Meri. Remember how long it took her to leave?
Yeah.
She had to be pushed out the door. Like,
it's true.
So we gotta give her a little patience.
That's definitely very true, for sure. Kody decides to pipe in and talk about how him and Robyn paid a little bit more for the house. And
What is
that
Robyn's money? Where is she making it
where does her
from?
money come from? Right. What
It's just the
sources of
show?
revenue is she bringing in? Because Sister Wives Closet is on pause.
Oh.
Unless you guys are just allowing all these orders to come in, you still can't be making all that much money off of
Do
it.
they just mean from when she sold her original house, which is probably David Preston's money, honestly, that she flipped to
Yeah.
help them pay their debt or whatever they talk about at one point in here too? Is that what you mean? And
Mhm.
then they just use that as like frame of reference of her, like what is her money? Like her just
Right.
part of the show on top of that, a bunch of like what?
Right.
I'm so
Well, that's a good question because they talk about how they worked together for so long. I mean, basically until Robyn came into the family, but it's for Kody to be talking about this person's assets versus this person's assets. And he says at some point, like, all I have left is what Robyn has, pretty much, even though that's not true at all. I don't understand how in one breath you can say we're all working together and sometimes we'd use this person's credit and that person's credit, whatever worked. And I believe that that's how they did their finances for a long time. But how can you say that and then at the same time talk about, well, these are Robyn's assets, or well, these are this person's money? No, I thought it all goes into the same place and you guys all pay the debts together. You can't have both. Those things don't work together.
I know. I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, he says that he's not rushing to sell it for Meri and Janelle's sake. But so the greater good isn't just because of Robyn. All of you want to sell, but Robyn, and you're really gonna put it on hold just so Robyn can think about it for like a few months or something. Like, what is that doing for you? Why don't you just let these women go?
I agree. I think he sees this as doing a favor to Jenelle and Meri. I think anything beyond them no longer speaking again, he sees as a favor to these two women, which is just insane. The way that he's sitting right now, with the way that the properties are written, he is doing them a favor. He's just essentially giving them money that apparently he feels that they're not entitled to, that him and Robyn are solely entitled to. I don't like the playing stupid that Kody's doing because
an obvious favoritism towards Robyn. I mean, other people put money into it too, but you're just gonna favor Robyn by letting her wait longer for what?
Exactly.
To just inevitably do what you're gonna do anyways?
Right. As Christine says, finances with Kody suck.
They do. He wants it to be known. He's not trying to rip anyone off, which now he did change the titles up. It was a little bit more fair. I still think it was weird. I think they just should put their names on one each. I honestly think Kody and Robyn are together as one. I think Robyn and Kody's money is together. So I don't understand this separation of them, but I guess maybe it's a plural marriage thing that I just don't get. But they all seem okay with it. We split it 4 ways or whatever. But Kody says he paid significantly more into it than any of them. But I mean, you're the husband, so these are your 4 wives, these are your marriages. I mean, that's kind of like your duty or whatever, right?
It's possible he paid $160,000 or whatever more into Coyote Pass, but Jenelle has been talking and Meri about debts that they've paid off that were part of the family, whether that's for houses or whatever. And I don't know if that's in the sum of $100,000+. It very well could be, but they've all paid large chunks of money that their names were tied to in debt and figured that out apparently on their own without asking the family for help in a long time. So I just feel like, sure, maybe you paid money over here on Coyote Pass, but I'm sure that these women who are bringing in a lot more money than you and your wife as far as revenue and working, I'm sure they've paid off debts as well. I'm sure they've invested money into things as well. Janelle invested money into Robyn's home for her estate or whatever. And so if Janelle was able to keep her $100 and some thousand that she would have put into Robyn's house and just put it into Coyote Pass, she'd be in the same position. But no, she was playing on the team with you. No, you cannot sit here and say, I put more money in without considering the fact that these women also put money into just other things that you spent. Your fault.
Your fault. We go over to Kody and Robyn and we get a little break from the property talk and set up a vanity, which they get into the little assistant talk again. And he calls her the shopping queen, which we know she is.
So true.
Robyn the shopping queen.
As a follower brought up earlier this morning on our video before, really good point. Maybe it just wasn't filmed, but why was Saul not included in this extravagant Valentine's Day present?
I know we're a little bit more modern these days, but maybe it's just because she's a girl. I mean, they're in a more traditional home, and I just remember my dad would bring me home Valentine's Day gifts and not my brother.
I don't like that.
I don't know. maybe it's just that's what it is for some people. I mean, Valentine's seems to be more of a girly holiday, like flowers and candies and things like that. Maybe like a thing of candy or something they might have gave him, but I would get flowers and a card. But I don't really think my brother got anything for Valentine's Day. I could text him and ask. But to be honest, I remember I would come home sometimes to not every Valentine's Day, but some Valentine's Days, my dad would bring home flowers and like a card or something.
My parents, they've gotten me Valentine's gifts, I mean, all the way through college, but I'm an only child, so I don't have like a male really to compare it to. I guess I just think you should do things kind of equally for your kids. Even if it's not a Valentine's Day present, maybe you buy him like a video game or something. That it doesn't have to be,
I could see that.
a stuffed animal. But yeah, and maybe they did, and it just wasn't as extravagant, so it wasn't filming worthy.
I guess especially if you're gonna get her something like this extravagant, but maybe they celebrate him once
Right.
in a
Maybe
while
they
and
already
don't
bought him like a
something.
video game or a play set or something.
Because a lot of boys don't even like Valentine's Day too, like
Totally. But I also feel
my
like,
husband.
if it's a day of love and acknowledgement of people, I think men deserve to be
They
loved
should,
and
yeah.
acknowledged for sure. But I think you're right too. Like we kind of live in a different mindset when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Than the Browns, I think, specifically. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's right or anything. I'm just saying that maybe they're a little bit more on a different side, but we definitely get to see the Flush headband. It's going all ways now. It's like a flesh cross, huh?
It just shows how much the production really is doing
To
so
help
much
this
work
man
to try to keep Kody looking right. But
he can't stop bending over.
I know. Poor guy.
I mean,
That's what happens when you F over 3 women. You lose your hair.
just put it in a ponytail or something then, like didn't he used to wear a bun? Just go back to that.
Yeah,
That'd
but
be
Robyn
fun.
doesn't like the bun. It was Jenelle that liked the bun.
I don't know, but who cares?
Yeah.
You got a flash headband. That's worse to me. I guess Robyn's maybe a little bit shorter than him, so she doesn't see it all the time, but
true.
Ooh, when we get that view, it's hard to not see. I mean, I get balding, but this is like weird balding.
Well, you know how sometimes those men, what's it called, like male pattern bald, when it just happens on top, but then
yeah, my dad had that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's starting here. It's just not.
It's just like going in like a direction though. He's becoming like his own superhero almost in a way.
Like a helmet, a skin helmet.
Yeah, it's gonna turn into some kind of like a arrow of some sort. It's like what was it, Avatar? Yeah, like Avatar. Kody, the last polygamist. Anyways. Speaking of polygamists.
Yes. So Robyn goes on this little tangent about how she thought that it was a mistake for the family before she joined the family to decide not to show affection in front of each other. And I can see it from both ways personally. I've never been in a plural marriage, so I can't speak from experience. But I do like the point that she made that they were allowed to get grumpy with each other or argue with each other in front of the family, but they weren't really allowed to show affection or have affectionate words or say nice things even to each other. And I think that does promote a culture in a family of being kind of nasty and not being very loving. I think what you model is what you get back. So I think that that's good. At the same time, I think in their private homes, they were being loving if they were in love. But a lot of these women were not in love. It seems like Christine and Kody were not intimate for quite a long time. Same thing with Meri.
What they bring up later, the other sister wives, is that it's hard to not be jealous when you're not in a good place and then you see them being affectionate. It just wouldn't work that way for them. Yeah. And I can understand that. I can also understand what Robyn is saying as well, but everybody would have to be in a good place for that to work. And also, I mean, you don't have to be physically affectionate. You could just be verbally affectionate with each other. Like, I like your hair today. Just even little compliments and things would probably go a long way with these women who keep score about things. So,
and I think touching too. I think the point Christine made later on about the Valentine's Day flowers with the kissing each of them, I can see how that could feel strange for sure. Definitely not my cup of tea, but I know in a plural marriage, some people might justify that. Maybe not that, right? But maybe a hug, right? Or when you're talking, you know how couples place their hand on each other's arms, or if somebody's sad, you'll maybe rub their head. Or I know a lot of the times in the car, I'm constantly playing with my husband's hair and stuff and poking in his ear. Those are little signs of affection as well that aren't necessarily sexual, that I think they probably could have done a better job of showing those things if they felt that way. I think
they just didn't. Honestly, I don't know. They could have done Valentine's Day better, as in Kody could have went to their homes and gave them gifts and made the special time. Yeah, it only takes like 20 minutes to get if they're all right by each other.
Especially in the cul-de-sac. Yeah, I mean, just pop on over, pop a little breath fresh mint in your mouth.
One of them you're there for breakfast maybe, and then the next one you go over for like a midday brunch, and then the next one you go over for maybe go do a little midday activity. Yeah, and then at night you take someone to dinner or whatever if you really want to do it that way as well. So it can be a little bit more romantic of sorts.
I do know, I think in the first season they did a Valentine's Day episode and he did take them all out on special things, and I think he did it within the day or within 2 days or something. I thought that was pretty funny back in the day. We've seen a lot of different variations, and we kind of skipped over this earlier, but Robyn, I think it's pretty funny, calls Kody Babe Ruth because sometimes he hits it out of the park and other times he strikes out. He says he thinks that a lot of that was due to focusing on the family more than focusing on the wife. And I think what you said about just going to their houses, maybe doing a date, even if it's not all day, it's just a couple of hours. And that's probably stressful. It's quite the schedule, but it's probably stressful to marry 4 women. So I think he's got it under control, I would hope.
At least give them their gifts separately at their own homes, maybe 10 minutes. Just pop
no,
over
I totally get that. I mean, we saw him giving flowers to all of them at the same time. And when he did those necklaces, he gave them to all of them at the same time. And I think that only increases the comparison situation. Obviously, they're all going to see the necklaces. Obviously, if they come over, they're going to see the flowers, whatever. But to be there when it's given, there was that flashback of Christy. So he gave me my flowers, and it was like,
yeah. I think he could have took more personal one-on-one time with each of them to do those kinds of things, especially if they're keeping score. And then they could have been a little bit more positive, I think, around each other as well. But I guess whatever. So I guess, according to Kody, the whole PDA thing started and ended with Meri. Apparently, Meri was clingy all over him, would sit on his lap, and they even show her sitting on his lap in photos. And I'm like, okay, guys. But apparently Jenelle didn't like that and let her mom know, and her mom took Kody to the side. And ever since, they just never were affectionate in public around each other. But she got her vanity. She's excited. And Kody says she's a little Kody. If she's mad at you, she's vengeful just like him. Good to know there's going to be a part 2 of you coming later in a female form.
That's very true.
A little scary.
We get back on the land on Coyote Pass. Meri brings up her spiritual divorce to Jenelle, saying that she's a little bit worried about what's going on with this property because she knows that Kody is also still upset with her about the spiritual divorce. And Kody hops in to try to give his side of the story. And this part, I didn't realize that he, quote, uninvolved himself. I guess I did think that Meri just went and did this. Maybe I missed something. But Kody says that he knew about it, that he told her he would think on it, and that he decided to just uninvolve himself in the whole situation. And he is of the opinion, which I think is BS, but he is of the opinion that if he would have been involved, he probably would not have gotten the divorce. And so he's glad that he wasn't involved ultimately because what they really needed was to be separated. And that's what they achieved. And I think that this is just a classic Kody moment where he can't wrap his head around the reality. So he tries to gaslight the entire world, which later on we hear him admitting to doing openly about another topic that he couldn't wrap his mind around quite yet.
Yeah. So just give it another season.
And we'll be talking about that.
I laughed when he said that too. I was like, really, Kody?
Yeah.
If you would have came up there and said your story about what?
Catfishing, of course.
It would have been the catfishing, huh?
He said she did her stuff. I'm like, okay, Kody. Okay. But then after she did her stuff, you literally abandoned her. I know apparently Meri didn't use that word, but that's the correct word. And then you went on national television over and over again and said you didn't consider yourself married to her. You don't care what happened.
There was a while where he acted like he didn't even care that it happened. And it was weird.
That's the thing.
Right after it happened, when she was telling everybody, Kody was just kind of like everybody else about it. It was almost like Robyn and the rest of them cared more than him. He was having to mediate between Meri and Leon because Leon was more upset about it.
Yeah, it's true.
Not that Kody probably wasn't upset about it at all, but it just didn't seem that way then.
Yeah.
Not like it is now. Every time she brings it up, he's like, well, she did that. And I just think it's just ammunition. I mean, Meri messed up, but there was also a lot going on at that time.
There was a lot going on at that time, and I truly don't think that Meri would have went and looked for other attention from anyone else, a man or a woman, had she been satisfied and happy in her relationship. And I don't even think that would have taken a lot. I think that would have taken just some simple attention, coming over for dinner once a week.
It didn't. That's why she got catfish. It just took people being nice to her online because if you think about it, the rings were melted down when? Like just a few years before this. So you know that their marriage is almost completely broken down.
That's what I'm saying. And he won't take a lick of responsibility for anything that happened before the catfishing, as if she just happily hopped over into some weird manipulative relationship. A stranger. No, Kody.
Let's just string her along for the next 10 years. Have her isolate herself.
Right.
In these big houses and then not come over, even during COVID, when she has no reason to be held at bay.
I know. It's so weird.
She's their prisoner.
Yes. Christine lets us know she has before that she's not interested in a spiritual marriage. She had her own conversation with God. God told her it was totally fine for her to peace out, and so she peaced out. But Meri and Jenelle have this different perspective of things. They do believe in the validity of their spiritual marriages.
Mhm.
Meri said even when she got legally divorced, she still felt that her spiritual marriage was intact and valid. Otherwise, what the heck were they all doing there in that situation? Which I believe. I can also appreciate that Christine can change her mind and decide that all of those beliefs were false, and so decide that her marriage is false. You live in your own perspective. These ladies are in the perspective where this stuff is valid, and Meri was not a chance in hell going to spend all of eternities with Kody and Robyn.
No, especially since they didn't want her there.
No. Jenelle starts to ponder around a little bit about the idea because Jenelle also is still keeping her faith intact. She just doesn't want to do polygamy anymore. She doesn't even know if she wants to be married anymore. But she does say if she were to remarry, it's something that she might obviously need in order to feel, I don't know, okay or whatever.
She might need it, especially if she's going to stay in the faith. It might be like, well, you're not even really divorced. We can't remarry you. You're still tied to this other man. So,
yes,
yeah.
And in the eternities.
Yep, especially if she's trying to do the plural thing, which I don't think she will.
Meri was giving her some advice about how she went about it, even though she's not involved in the church anymore. And I think this might open up some more working together with these two ladies. If Jenelle does want to take Meri up on her offer. Meri even said that she
did she really say maybe not when Meri said, I can go with you or help you out with this or whatever? They closed captioned her saying maybe not. But I thought she said maybe.
Oh, that's funny. I thought she seemed agreeable about it. I thought she
did too, but then I had closed captioning on and it said maybe not. And I was like, did she?
Sometimes they mess up, but I don't know. It's possible they're not best friends.
We were talking about that immediately after that. So I was like, did she really say maybe not?
Like, no, bye.
I don't know, Chick Chatters, maybe y'all heard it, but I heard maybe, but I saw on the screen it said maybe not on my subtitles, so I thought that was funny.
Well, maybe not.
I do think Jenelle, this is something that's gonna make her feel more at ease, just like Meri. It seems like Meri got it pretty fast. I don't think it would take much. If they already gave Meri one, I don't think it would take them much of a leap to figure out that maybe he's gonna lose some other ones too. It might not be as hard for Jenelle because Meri already did it. So they're probably like, well, he already did this one, so it's not that far-fetched to think that he might mess up this one too. Now, like, at this point, we'll just write off Christine as well.
Right, yeah. We'll just give you a complimentary spiritual divorce.
There you go. Here's a paper you guys can
Jenelle and Meri.
Yeah, here's a card you guys can give her.
So we get to Valentine's Day with David and Christine.
This was such a strange walk. It reminded me of the Love is Blind Netflix like walks that they do when they're walking into a spot. It's
definitely a producer-driven walk. I'm sure a producer came up to them and was like, okay, walk down here. We're going to get this shot. Hold hands. Don't look at the camera.
They go to this little fancy place and they start talking about Kody, basically, right?
Per usual, yes. They do start talking about.
Strange thing to stay on your. I mean, I get, that'll come up here and there, especially because they're filming a show about this. But it's Valentine's Day.
They do start it off with I've waited 11 years and blah blah blah. So they do start it off with some appreciation for each other and loving words and stuff like that. But it does quickly divulge into Christine talking a lot about her experiences with Valentine's Day. They do cut into Kody and Robyn before we get to that, though. And Robyn is opening a turquoise little earring thing for a gorgeous woman.
I was surprised it wasn't a doll or a journal, but
she buys her own dolls.
Yeah, she probably wouldn't trust him by her doll.
Well, Kody probably buys the dolls, but
he probably doesn't even want to look at the price tag. We did learn that Kody went to Utah. This was the best moment, I think, of Kody all season is when he was talking about this trip to Utah. I was shocked, actually. The way the whole rest of the episode went, I was like, okay, this is our usual typical Kody. But then this happens, and I'm like, who is this person?
I know. It
was weird.
The amount of accountability that came out of Kody's mouth in this confessional is probably more than we've seen in 19 seasons or however many there are.
Probably ever.
That's what I'm saying. Even just a couple scenes ago, right? He's over here trying to gaslight us about this stuff with Meri and the divorce and how he feels about it. Tell us all these kinds of stories and rewrite history. This was him actually admitting and taking up for the fact that he tried to rewrite history. The only reason he did that was because his feelings were hurt and he could not grapple with reality. So he had to make up an alternate reality. And then he even admitted, of course, I loved those women. And beforehand, he talks about seeing his kids and how all those conversations went really well. I did think it was really funny how he's like, turns out I got other kids from other moms up there.
There's no revelation from Kody without its flaws.
True.
This is how disassociated this man is from his kids. You don't even know where they all are.
That's what I'm saying.
Of course, Utah is the mecca for most of your children.
That's where they was born and raised.
Yeah, come on, Christine's there, and Jenelle goes back and forth there. The only people who aren't there really is like Jenelle, Maddie, and Caleb. Leon, too. I think Leon might be in California or something, but most everybody's in Utah.
Utah, Kody. Visit Utah once in a while. It ain't that far from Arizona. You got more kids there than you think. So
just wow.
Just show up. I bet you one of them will be free for lunch.
Who knew I had kids over here?
I know, from other mothers. That's just the most plural dad thing to say ever. Who knew when I came up here to Utah to see my kids from this mother that I would have other kids from other mothers?
Just around.
Just hanging out. Like I raised them as if they're siblings or something. What the hell?
I guess he went up there to work on his relationships with specifically Christine's girls, it seems. Aspen and him talked about their relationship. She asked him why he doesn't like her. And I think that's pretty bold. He said, it's not that. I love you and I always will. I think that's kind of the parental bond there regardless. But he just hasn't felt welcome, I guess. And then they talk about that. And they're going to work on a relationship that's outside of the views of him and their mothers. Okay, whatever is going to get them working on it.
Kody does want to carry this narrative. He says that he felt like he was alienated from his kids. I just don't think that that's true. I can appreciate that they moved and everything, but he's always been able to see his kids. Nobody's ever made any kind of qualms or issues about that whatsoever.
We're only in the age of technology as well. It would take is
Right.
just like some text here and there too to reach out enough to your kids to, you know.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too. Like, you don't have young children. A lot of your kids, in fact, are adults. And so you cannot be alienated from your adult kids unless you decide to partake in that. And you certainly can't go around blaming moms for it. And if they only have a perception through their mom of who you are, that's still your fault. So I'm glad that he also brought this into consideration in this confessional as well, saying that it really is his responsibility to have other interactions with his children other than what they're hearing from their mom or just seeing in the lack of relationship with their moms.
Yeah, because if you're really like great person, parent, whatever, it doesn't really matter what anybody says about you if you give somebody the experience that you give them. They're going to go off with their own experience with you. And if you stop being around, then yeah, you're going to become a deadbeat and a this and a that. And all they see is you on TV angry, talking crap about them, their moms. I mean, you went for everybody. It wasn't just the moms. It was the kids too. So that's why these kids don't think you like them. But I'm glad to see
Maddie a whole gossip and a liar. It's just wild.
I am glad to see Kody take some accountability. Baby steps, right? I mean, at least it's something. It was unexpected, but at least it's something.
True. He was happy to have a sweet experience too. I know he's always looking for that with his kids and his family. So
he loves a good experience.
Back over to Christine and David for a while. This is where she talks about how Kody would give all the wives flowers and then sort of kiss them all in a line. And for some reason, David's preoccupation was not the kissing, but if all the flowers were equal.
He's keeping score.
He tries. He's keeping score for Christine.
He knows she's upset about the kiss. It's probably more than likely, but he knows that she's keeping score about the items too. Robyn decides to ask Kody about the plural marriage situation that they're in. She asks him if he is content in this monogamous relationship. She just needs to know before moving forward. This doesn't make sense to me because Meri got a divorce from the church. Can't he not even take anybody else on? Isn't he not allowed? I thought once you lose your wives or whatever, they won't even let you take on anymore in the religion or in the faith. So isn't this all just a mute point?
Maybe he's allowed to get remarried under some circumstances. I'm sure abandonment probably wouldn't be one of them. Maybe it's possible that they just join a different sect or a different community within that religion, and maybe they don't do their due diligence on what kind of husband this guy is. I know these kinds of religions, they do live in the darkness because it's illegal to be a polygamist. And a lot of times when things happen in the dark, weirder things happen than even the polygamy. Maybe there's some religion out there that's just handing wives off to these men that don't actually have good relationships. I would not be surprised, but I have no idea. I don't know nothing about that.
Maybe you chick chatters know. Probably not in their church. I would think he wouldn't be able to take on anymore. But maybe you're right. Maybe he could join a different sector of a different thing, or maybe he'll just do it on his own. Who knows, I guess.
The face that he gave, though, when Robyn asked, do you ever sit here and wonder if we're going to be in another plural marriage? I don't get that question. Do you sit here and she says that all the time. I'm not going to sit here and think this about that. It's just...
Kody says that it's a very loaded question, and he doesn't seem interested at all in that.
Flat out says he's not, but not to Robyn.
Well, yeah, he likes to put on a little bit for Robyn, but he does lay it out to Robyn in a way she can kind of understand, but just not as bluntly as he is to us.
He goes as far, too, as to say that he thinks in 5 years, whenever he sees a polygamist, that he will shudder for them, which is just like such a 180. I think he's more on the side of the mindset, I guess, that Christine is on now, that he's just kind of thrown out all of those beliefs. But the problem is that he married Robyn in plural marriage, and these are still her beliefs. She's still in the perspective of Jenelle and Meri, where this is her religion, and she's not abandoning that part of it. So I think that this is going to be honestly a tough part for Robyn, because Kody is not interested. And I don't even know if she's willing to say that that's what she wants, other than just saying, this is what we agreed to. I don't know.
Is she even really interested? I feel like she just asks us this for the camera sometimes, just to throw it out there.
It's possible.
You know, they've had this conversation a couple times, I think, about, is this it? And he's like, yeah, I think so. The last time they went to dinner, didn't he look at her and say, are you going to be fine with just me?
Yeah, I think he did.
Well, why are we doing this? Why is this a continuous question?
Because I think it's a problem for Robyn. And I think she's not going to directly say, this is what I need in order to be satisfied.
Do PDA in front of somebody and have them do PDA in front of her and just be weird?
I think she wants to go to the eternal Jesus place. And the only way to get there is to have all these wives.
Yeah, but if you lose them and stuff, doesn't that count against you anyway? What are you, just breaking even now? Like, where are you going to go?
I think you just have to have 3. And right now he has 3. And little does Robyn know that Janelle's about to walk her happy ass out. But I think she still thinks she's going to be in the Hilton heaven.
I don't know. I'm confused by what Robyn, what
her motives are.
Yeah, because if you drive all the women out anyways to begin with, then you're going to lose all this anyway. And then you had to start all over again just to be the old gaggly wife now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm of the opinion that I don't think Robyn's intention was to drive the women out. I think she was just like really ignorant.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it did happen.
I know. And she should realize what I'm doing is doing this, but
yeah, whatever. Kody does let us know that he was spewing a bunch of hatred and nonsense at us the last couple of seasons, but that's all that it was. It wasn't even the truth, which is expected. I mean, we all know that. There's no way he could have done all this for this long if there was absolutely no love there. Why torture yourself?
Right. You know? Yeah, nobody believes that. I don't even think Kody believed that when he was saying it, but I'm glad that he's at least going to own up to it and tell us now that he's accepted his reality. I think that that's important. So Kody makes sure to let Robyn know for, the 3rd, 4th, 5th time, I don't know at this point, that he's very happy with the experience that they've had. It's a very sweet experience in monogamy with Robyn. And
even though he has put her through hell at one point when they were not.
Yes, he does apologize to her and lets her know that he's really sorry about the past, but that he does want to stay with her. And this is why I think Robyn's just not satisfied with that answer. She herself is shuddering.
Yeah, but what, you want a new one? Like, where are you gonna? I don't know. I just don't see Robyn actually going out and finding a new sister wife either. Because remember, how Robyn got here was Meri spearheaded it. It's usually the legal wife is the head of the recruitment. So wouldn't that be Robyn's job anyways?
I think that's what she's trying to kind of nudge, but I don't think she knows how to do it. Maybe she should call Meri.
She might need to find someone first. Wouldn't it take finding the right person first, or does she have someone on standby?
Well, I don't think you would want to put a woman in front of Kody if you weren't quite sure what his intentions would be. He's been nasty lately and mean.
I don't know, man. But yeah, I just don't see Robyn really doing it. I mean, unless, I don't know. I just don't see it happening. I just think that this is just a nothing burger. But I think they know that there's monogamy. And then why go through it again? Because what if those sister wives leave you, Robyn, and then you're still on your porch, sitting on your porch chair, no sister wife.
No eternity, nothing. Yeah. But that's pretty much where they leave us for the episode. I mean, Kody's committed to monogamy. Robyn's gonna commit to Kody. And I think that's what the rest of their life is probably gonna look like.
Yep. Hopefully she Something's gotta go on with his hair. They gotta do something about that flush headband. I don't know if they gotta put plugs in or if they gotta just put his hair up in a ponytail and a bun and a something, shave it off. I crop dust it. I don't even know. Or crop cut it. What is it? What the aliens do in the crops? I don't know.
I don't know what they do to people's hair.
Who in the crop circle? Crop circle it. That's what I mean. Not crop dust.
Crop circle it.
I don't know. Cut pictures into it. I do not know. Something. Anything is better than what I'm looking at. Like every other episode.
Okay. That's circle.
Do you know crop circles?
Oh yeah, I know what a crop circle. I didn't know they put them in hair.
Like they'll cut pictures and fades and shit.
Oh, sorry, Chick Chat. We're a little delusional. It's been a long day for us.
It's really all right.
So for the next episode, they didn't give us much of a preview. They literally gave us 2 scenes. So Meri is going to talk about dating, and David is going to piss off Christine somehow by jumping over a fence, and he's going to laugh about it.
Wow, what a preview! I
know, what a preview!
all these months to get that.
The further we get into part B of this season, I just feel like, what was the point of me waiting all this time? And especially the fact that we're sitting here covering 3 shows, filming all day long, watching TV all day long. I'm like, couldn't we have done this a couple months ago?
I know. Yeah.
We're damn near in the middle of summer. We don't need 2 more months of this.
There's only going to be maybe 2 more weeks of the regular show, and then it's all sit down.
That's what I'm saying. Now it's 2 more damn months of these people, all the way into July.
Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. We are looking forward to seeing you guys next time, though.
We are. We very much are. Thank you to all of our new subscribers. Don't forget to like our video, leave us comments, click the share button, copy the link.
Help us get to 900 subscribers. Just to 900 right now. We'll ask for more later. But remember to reduce, reuse, recycle, Rihanna, and goodbye.
Goodbye.